And moving on to day 3 of Bruticus week, since we'll be looking at actually the most retooled figure in the line of Bruticus. Unlike the other releases, which include the Blades and Blastoff, this time Swindle is actually a heavy retool of Rook, since he actually has a lot of new parts that actually make this figure probably look a lot better than Rook in my opinion. There are a few nitpicks here and there with this version of the toy, since it does have some QC issues, but those are just the problems with mine, and hopefully it's not a running thing for everyone who owns the figure. Anyways, we'll take a look at the box as normal. It shows that it is Swindle, obviously. Shows that it is number 4 of 5. And then we take a look here, which has the bio as normal, and it shows that he is a leg. So we'll now look at Swindle himself. Now, Swindle actually has a few differences already off the bat. As you can see, he has a brand new head sculpt, which looks really nice, and I think it really screams Swindle. The back, obviously, is also retool, and he has a whole different paint deco, obviously. And if I remember correctly, this is actually a new weapon. I'm not sure if any of the others released, and I can't think of the top of my head where this was released, possibly with maybe one of the Defensor pieces, but it works really well with Swindle. And the Rook mold really helped the Swindle design really pop out really well. Transformation, it's a bit similar, but before we're going to go with that, we're going to go with the articulation points. His head is on a ball joint, which this does have a little bit of problem. As you can see, just going to show quickly, since it's going to probably happen often in the transformation, his head does pop up quite a bit, which is really annoying on this version of the figure. He does have ball jointed shoulders, and allows it to have a good range of movement, and that's really nice. He does have ratchets in the elbows, and they can swivel as well. He does have waist articulation, which works really nicely. He has outward hip movement, can also bend forward and back. Does have swivels up on the legs there. He has knee joints, and his feet can pivot a bit due to transformation, but this is kind of cheating since this isn't really a full articulation point there. Transformation is a bit trickier than Rook due to the remold in the piece here, since you kind of need to get this out of the way first before you fully form the top part of the vehicle mode. First, we're going to turn the head because this will allow it to be able to be hidden in vehicle mode. As you can see, the head already popped off already. We're then going to push up this panel, which is really tight. We're going to get this into place, so now it looks like that. We're going to push this forward, and then we're going to fully collapse the head there, as you can see. Right there. We're going to pull these into place and turn these pieces around. We're then going to peg these together. First, we're going to push these up so they look like this. Plug them together. Then you're going to push these forward so they form the bottom of the vehicle mode, which could be a bit tricky since these are rather tight here. Push this down, and then snap these into place, which, once again, because of this new component, it can be a bit tricky to get in there. And then snap everything together, and there we have Swindle in his vehicle mode. Now, even in vehicle mode, because you can see a lot of the new retooled parts really help this design really make it look like Swindle, and I think they did a fantastic job designing this version of the mold. Now, obviously, most retools and repaints we've seen so far pretty much don't give a lot more uniqueness to the character, but this time, because of the new parts, it really helps this mold really look more like Swindle rather than just being a reuse of a previous existing character. His wheels can roll pretty well, and I think it really looks nice, even if it is an updated version of the character. His weapon can actually be stored up here on top of the vehicle, so you can see there. Or if you want to, it can be stored up here as well, and you can kind of plug these up as well if you wished. So it looks something like this, and you can armor them up even more. So it works pretty nicely. We're going to quickly transfer him back, and I think Swindle turned out pretty nicely, even if it would have been nice to see a lot of new retools, new molds in the line. I think For the characters that obviously didn't exist in the G1 lore, such as Rook, Alpha Bravo, and various others, I think they turn nicely to represent the character which is actually from the G1 continuity in the Combiner Wars line. And I think for what they could do with the existing molds, they did a really nice job changing them into the new characters. Now, obviously, the whole look of Swindle might look different on the Japanese release, maybe a few paint differences here and there, but to me, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot different you're going to see with just the design of Swindle alone. So this turned out pretty nicely. So for those, once again, it'll be probably easy to get the Takara release. Sorry with a few repeats here and there, but I still think this is a really fantastic job for what Hasbro had with a pre-existing figure, and I highly recommend those who are fans of Bruticus to get a hold of this figure or any of the figures I reviewed previously throughout the week. So anyways, please kindly subscribe and check out Hirotaku, which this video should also be up there at one point. Also, please check out my Twitter handle under Darkon633, and please check down the other channels down below, including the WW Podcast and more. And now, we're moving on to the final deluxe of Bruticus. So, I'll be seeing you YouTube. Bye.